Good morning. Has everybody had their coffee or spoken to a liberal or done something to get your blood rolling in the morning? This is member reports for CNP. If you haven't been to member reports before, let me give you the quick overview. Remember elementary school, where your favorite time of the day, other than recess, was show and tell. This is show and tell. If that analogy isn't right for you, let me give you one more. This is speed dating for conservatives. Your fellow conservatives are going to get up here, they're going to tell you about themselves, they're going to tell you about their organization, then they're going to strongly imply that they want you to buy them dinner. We have a full group of conservatives speaking this morning, but we're going to start off with Joe Knott, who's going to give us the invocation. Joe's been practicing law for 37 years out of Raleigh. We have several members from Raleigh, or the surrounding area right now. He represents usually the good guys, plaintiff's attorney, but was also U.S. attorney under Reagan. But come and give us an invocation.
Thank you. Let's pray together. Almighty God, we come into your presence this morning remembering that you are the creator of the universe. Everything that is exists by your good pleasure. You are the judge of all mankind, and every man will stand before you one day and give account. You are the Almighty, the sovereign over everything, and we do acknowledge you this morning. We thank you that you have made it possible for us to come into your presence. We thank you that you have made it possible for us to bring our petitions to you. In fact, you've commanded us to do so. So in that spirit, we do bring our petitions and ask, Lord, that you would continue to protect this country, protect our leaders. We especially pray for our president, that you would give him strength and courage and physical protection in this dangerous time. Give us all wisdom, Lord, and help us to be good stewards of the great heritage we have received from our forefathers. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen. CNP is like a really good Swiss Army knife. We have things on that you have no idea what they are or what they're supposed to do, but in a pinch, you really want to have it. And that's what you're going to find out this morning, is that we have got people in the conservative movement that do all kinds of things that you never thought even needed to be done, and we're going to get an introduction on that today. Quick few rules. We're going to have 1-minute reports. 1-minute reports are from people that gave 3-minute reports at the last meeting. Now they come in and they get to give a 1-minute report. Then we're going to have 3-minute reports after that. We're going to have a timekeeper right down here. If you go over your time, we will not only ban you from CNP, we'll ban you from polite society, and we'll change your voter registration. We want you to stay in order because the AV needs to have that. I'm going to call you up in groups of 4. Before the fourth person, I'm going to call up the next group of 4. Come on up and sit up here. When you're done with your report, go on down. I think that covers all of the basic rules, other than we did consider a Facebook rule, which would be that if you would be banned from Facebook, you couldn't speak here today, but we realized then we would be going back to recess. We wouldn't have show and tell. So our first four in 1-minute reports are Jeremy Cerrone, Catherine Glenn, Mark Weimer, and Richard Biggery, along with Mark Fitzgibbon. Jeremy, we'll let you make your way right up here and get us started.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Jeremy Cerrone, and as you can see, I'm a troublemaker. Yeah, I run Elite Safe, which is an organization for cybersecurity, as you can see, by conservatives for conservatives. And I want to just bring you a very quick update on a couple of cyber intelligence items that have developed in the news just recently. So we've become a lot more aware, as Secretary of State Pompeo mentioned yesterday, with Huawei, the Chinese computer company owned by the Communist Party. And we've also learned a lot more about Chinese surveillance and attempts to keep files really on many Americans that are involved in the political process, quite likely including some of the people here. And if you want to hear more about ways that you can defend yourself against Chinese surveillance and intelligence gathering, feel free to approach me. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jeremy. Catherine Glenn Foster.
Good morning, everyone. I'm President and CEO of Americans United for Life. We are seeing so much momentum, so much progress for life in America. You probably have heard the news coming out of Alabama, Georgia, Missouri, all of these states that are making incredible progress for life. But that's not all. It's really happening with all kinds of different bills, coast to coast. If we can show the first slide here, that is me actually outside the Planned Parenthood in Pennsylvania, where Representative Brian Sims attacked, berated children and an elderly woman who was silently praying outside that clinic. And we saw a rally with more than 1,000 people there pushing back and saying he needs to resign. Second slide, please. That's me outside the room in Rhode Island where they voted down a New York-style Reproductive Health Act. We're seeing those kinds of bills be voted down nationwide. After New York, there was such a backlash, so we saw it fail in Virginia, New Mexico, and Rhode Island. Coast to coast, we are seeing this kind of progress for life, and it is so good to see.
Thank you, Catherine. Mark Weimer.
Hi, I'm Mark Weimer, and I'm pleased to announce All Social is now an alternative to Facebook and Twitter that will not ban people on religious or political grounds. So it's now launched. It won't be publicized for another few weeks, but for CNP members, if you want information, text this number that's on the screen, and I or one of our people will get back to you to help you get an account set up. All Social will not ban people. It believes in freedom of speech. It's intended for everyone. You can put other social media onto it, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It works. It'll also send things to 100% of your followers, where the main social media now only sends things to about 1 or 2%. President Trump, with 23 million people, gets his Facebook posts sent to about 1% of those people. So come to allsocial.com. Again, if you can put the number up, it's 408-221-6868. If you text that number, then one of us will help you get an account set up where you can learn how to do this for you and your friends and followers for your organization. So thanks, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mark. As another Mark Fitzgibbons comes up, I'm going to call up Patty Stockman, Gary Marks, Amapola Hansberger, and Karen England.
Good morning. Mark Fitzgibbons, President of Corporate and Legal Affairs at American Target Advertising. I talked last time about the dual systems of justice. Think of Hillary, think of Trump. It's not just prosecutions, it's investigations. One of our own is sitting in jail for 10 years under this dual system of justice for the alleged crimes of mail fraud and wire fraud. The predicate acts were fundraising. And if he had hired me or Cleta Mitchell or Brad Smith, he could have accomplished the same objective by papering it correctly. He did nothing wrong except failed to paper the transactions. So now he's sitting in jail for 10 years. There's a May 31st deadline to file amicus briefs on his appeal. I will be contacting all of you, asking you to be co-amici on my brief to discuss the flexibility we need between fundraising and what is fraud. We need other amicus briefs on campaign finance and the criminalization of politics, but you'll be hearing from me sometime later next week.
Thanks, Mark, and we're going to hear directly from Patty Stockman.
Steve Stockman, you walk the walk. You didn't just talk the talk. What do you want people to remember about you?
That I didn't blow with the wind, that I took up the challenge, and even though it may have been difficult on my family and on me, and it will continue to be difficult, I will not blow in the wind. I will stand firm and I will stand up against the machine which is here to, I think, undermine America's values, America's courage, and America's reputation around the world has been diminished, and we'll stand strong.
And he did. And he's been in prison now for over a year. As Mark said, amicus briefs in Steve's case will be due May 31st, but we have what we believe to be shaping up a tremendous appeal that will be filed next Friday with the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. And there's so much I could tell you and so many ways you could help, but today, as Mark said, we're looking for those of you, many of you in your midst, who would be willing to sign on to Mark's amicus brief or one of the others. Look for this lime green flyer on your table that lists the type of briefs and it gives you an opportunity to say you would be willing to help, and we'll get you a lot more information. If you want more information, and there's a petition you can sign, see me, Mark, or Lisa Obashan, our guest over there. She's waving her hand, and we can help you with more. Thank you. We love you guys. You're a blessing.
Thank you, Patty. Welcome, Gary Marks.
Good morning. I hope you'll join me and my friend Jeff Hunt of the Western Conservative Summit this summer.
Join with thousands of conservatives in Denver, Colorado this July 12th and 13th to defend religious freedom and America's First Amendment. The Western Conservative Summit is the nation's largest gathering of conservatives each summer, hosted by Colorado Christian University. This year, we will send a bold message to the nation, defending religious freedom and our First Amendment rights. Hear from our nation's conservative leaders.
Man must be free because man has inherent worth and dignity.
So we can't just sit and watch him. We got to pay attention.
Attend informative workshops and visit our large exhibit hall. Join us July 12th through the 13th, 2019
See you there.
at the Colorado Convention Center, and get your tickets today.
Thank you, Gary. As we welcome Amapola to the podium, I don't see Karen England. If she's here, she can come up, but I'll call the next four then also. Tom Fitton, Bill Federer, Trent Eagland, and E.W. Jackson.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Amapola Hansberger. You won't hear very much from legal immigrants, but I represent a whole bunch of them. We are the ones that love the United States of America as a constitutional republic, and we love the rule of law. I was raised in Nicaragua, similar to a sanctuary city. I was afraid to walk in the streets. We had to surround ourselves with walls and had bars on the windows and had to sleep with a gun under the bed. That's the part that worries me. Sanctuary cities having criminals that come maybe even from my country. I'm sorry. I don't like to live like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll welcome Tom Fitton to the podium.
Good morning. Judicial Watch continues to take leadership in draining the swamp of federal court. Thank you. Granted us discovery where deposing our attorneys are, up to almost a dozen witnesses in the Clinton email scandal. So it's back. These folks are coming back in and having to testify under oath on the cover-up. We love Attorney General Barr, but we're still going to do our own work and do our own thing. And to that end, our deep state lawsuits on the coup attempt against President Trump continue. Just in the last week, we had a series of revelations about Bruce Orr and Nellie Orr deleting emails, collusion between Bruce Orr and the Obama State Department on Russiagate and the effort to smear then candidate or then President-elect Trump just after the election. All of this is coming out thanks to Judicial Watch litigation, not Congress and not the media. And we hope finally the Justice Department starts paying attention and starts prosecuting this most corrupt scandal in American history. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We welcome another long-standing CNP member, Bill Federer.
Thank you. This coming year is the 400th anniversary of the Pilgrims landing at Plymouth Rock, and so I want to encourage you to be involved in it. The website is plymrock.org, P-L-Y-M rock.org. A new book I did, some on the table. It's called The Treacherous World of the 16th Century and How the Pilgrims Escaped It. It highlights that the King of England was he was a globalist. He had a one-world government, all of India, Australia, New Zealand. America's founders decided we didn't like this globalist king telling us what to do. We flipped it and made the people the king. And so another book I want to draw your attention to is called Who is the King in America? It's you. And so that's on the table. Another book is called What Every American Needs to Know About the Quran, A History of Islam and the United States. Also, the D-Day Prayer Project is Chris Long of Ohio Christian Alliance. He has been here. They're wanting to add FDR's D-Day prayer to the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. The website is ddayprayerproject.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Trent England.
It is well past time we eliminate the Electoral College.
Yes, let's abolish the Electoral College.
Do you think the Electoral College system should be re-examined?
I do. I'll tell you why.
Do you think the Electoral College should be abolished?
I said that in 2000.
You say on page 386, you say the godforsaken Electoral College.
The Electoral College protects Middle America. It was designed to protect Middle America. In 2016, it worked as it was intended to work, to protect us against a regional candidate. If you do the analysis of where the Democrats are today, it's very similar to where they were in the 1880s. They have a regional coalition. It's not based in the Deep South anymore. It's based in California. But it's no surprise they are dead set on eliminating the Electoral College. They have made gains after winning some state legislatures in 2018. The Save Our States Project, based at the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs, is working against this, organizing the national efforts to save the Electoral College. I hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Thank you. As we welcome E.W. Jackson, I'm going to call the next four: Nadine Menza, Alveda King, Adam Josephic, and Colin Hanna.
Well, folks, liberty doesn't just sit in a bell in Philadelphia. It resonates in our hearts. And we are facing enemies of liberty like nothing I've ever seen in our country since I've been a conservative activist. And we are having, there we go. We are pulling together a group standing against this and revealing to the American people that this is not just about social works, socialism. This is really about Marxism and communism, which is a threat to our liberty. And that if you think about it, everything that's happening in our country is somehow tied to it. When I found out that James Comey was a self-confessed communist, and that John Brennan's first vote was for Gus Hall, the former chairman of the Communist Party, I realized we've got something that needs to be addressed, and we need to reveal these people for who they are. Join us at the press conference on Monday morning at 10 o'clock.
Thank you. Nadine.
Good morning. As many of you know, I've been working alongside of Rick Santorum at Patriot Voices on finding a conservative answer to paid family leave for the last couple of years. If you have not taken a look at this important pro-family policy that supports mothers and fathers after the birth or adoption of a baby, you can go to this website, it's paidleaveforfamilies.com, or you can go to patriotvoices.com and we have a banner that will take you there too. We have information about the Rubio-Wagner bill and again about the Lee-Ernst bill. This site is supported by Patriot Voices, Students for Life, Independent Women's Forum, Priests for Life, and the American Principles Project, a lot of good conservative organizations. So paid leave is coming. The question is this: are we going to let the left decide this policy, or are we going to craft and support something that fits our values? So you can grab me if you want to talk some more, or go to the website. Thanks.
Thank you. Alveda King.
Good morning.
It's my honor to serve America in prayer as a Christian evangelist, to be invited to the White House to meet with the President, First Lady, and other leaders dealing with prayer, life, criminal justice reform, immigration, and other issues. Janet Miranda and I of the Silent No More Awareness Campaign will be in Kingston, Jamaica, and around Jamaica next week, praying that they don't make the mistakes we've made here and continue to stand for life. And voting, of course, is one of our major planks, and voting for life. That's going to be very important, and we have to remember to do that. I'm writing a book with my girlfriend, Ginger Howard, and it's called We're Not Colorblind. I said, if you're colorblind, you need some new glasses. And I am the first woman to be on the board of Promise Keepers, and I'm there as a prayer warrior and a support and a mother of strong men. God bless everybody. Amen.
Thank you. Adam is faithfully leading the next group of leaders for CNP. Come on up, Adam.
Forge Leadership Network exists to create the next generation of conservative leaders.
We hold these truths. Now, what is truth?
Anytime we have public policies that align with what is true, you can expect good things to result from those public policies.
These are compelling arguments, and what I'm offering to you is that unless you get to the core, you will misargue the argument.
Truth reveals error. Error hates truth. So error will do everything possible to prevent the presentation of truth.
You guys are going to learn amazing things from speakers. You're going to learn incredible techniques on public speaking, messaging, networking, and more. But most importantly, I hope you develop some good friendships out of this.
This July, 80 young conservatives and believers will be chosen for the 2019 Forge Leadership Summit. I'd love to have you recommend a young conservative in your life. Thanks.
Great. As Colin comes forward, Kristen Wagner, Robert Alt, Leslie Unruh, and Dran Reese. Please come on up to the stage.
Good morning. I want to give you an update on our film project. I'm Colin Hanna from Let Freedom Ring and Enduring Impact Productions. We're doing a full-length feature film on the life of Frederick Douglass. The screenplay was completed since the last CNP meeting. I want to make it available to every CNP member who'd like to read it. I can assure you it will inspire you, it will uplift you, it will make you a deeper patriot, and it may even pull a tear or two out of your eyes. It's a wonderful, powerful screenplay. It's in the hands right now of a series of agents and studios looking for a strong director. We need to have a director who will be true to the faith component of Frederick Douglass. That was the center of his value set. He was also a spectacular patriot. It's a story that needs to be told, and it needs to be told now because we are a nation in need of the kind of healing that he provided over 100 years ago. God bless you all. Thank you.
Are you getting an idea of how diverse this organization is? A wonderful filmmaker and now one of the most talented litigators in the country, Kristen Wagner.
Alliance Defending Freedom will be arguing the Harris Funeral Homes case at the United States Supreme Court this next fall. And it focuses on whether sex in federal anti-discrimination laws includes gender identity. The case involves a 100-year-old family-owned business by a Christian family, and it's a funeral home. And they had a male employee that came to them, wanted to violate the dress code and begin to dress as a woman as he was ministering to grieving families. It also involves a politically motivated government agency that wanted to create a test case to change the law 50 years after it was written. As a backstop, you heard yesterday that the House has passed the Equality Act, the so-called Equality Act, and it's important to realize this is the most anti-religious liberty bill that has been passed by the House during our lifetime, and it has staggering consequences for all of us. Please go to allforfreedom.org to hear about the Equality Act and adflegal.org to hear about Harris Funeral Home case.
Thanks, Kristen. Robert Alt.
Good morning. I'm the president of the Buckeye Institute.
Last year, the Supreme Court struck a blow for freedom in the Janus case by declaring that money can't be taken from public employees' paychecks to support union causes without the employee's prior affirmative consent. This was a big win for hardworking public servants like Anne Marie Hene, who works as a custodian at Kent State University in Ohio. Her union, AFSCME, for years had used her money to support liberal causes like pro-abortion laws, gun control laws, amnesty for illegal immigration, and calling for an end to state laws that protect religious freedom. But there's just one problem. Even after the Supreme Court's decision, AFSCME still won't let Ms. Hene out. After resigning over a year ago, she is still being forced to pay every month to support these causes with which she disagrees. That's why, earlier this month, the Buckeye Institute joined with Liberty Justice Center to file a federal lawsuit on behalf of employees like Ms. Hene to assure that her First Amendment rights are protected.
As Leslie Unruh comes up, I'll make one more call for Karen England if she's here. She can come on up to the stage.
Have you ever gone through training for your job? Did it work? Maybe, but in a lot of cases, it's an hour or two and you move on. We believe training isn't something you did, it's something you do. VIRTRU is an interactive online platform built specifically for the nation's pregnancy resource centers. VIRTRU is designed to train individuals working in pregnancy resource centers and has curriculum tracks for individuals specializing in client care, management, development, ultrasounds, marketing, and much, much more. VIRTRU offers centers the ability to train 24/7.
That's my kid. We're getting the family involved. And so we've been, this past year, several of the centers we had started were really struggling. And so we put together this training video. So we want to help everyone else if we can too. Thank you.
As Dran Reese comes up, I'll say that I have a regional bias for her organization because she works in one of the darkest places around my home state, California.
Thank you so much, Tim. On your tables, there's a postcard that looks like this. Take one and please help spearhead a Content of Character series event in your area. Watch this.
We are lacking unity, and we have to come together in unity.
The truth helps unite us and bring us together.
We got to wake up. The content of character really is a revolution.
The media is not going to tell you the truth. These events will tell you the truth.
The truth doesn't change because of the color of the speaker. The truth is the truth.
It's just made me more convinced than ever that I need to be even more involved in trying to change the culture.
Attend the events and then apply what we've learned so we can really come together as a people. We, the people.
I'm not a Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm a Christian. And we can change nations one by one, city by city, if the Christians will wake up and just be biblically correct.
As we transition to 3-minute reports now, let me call the next group, Jason Rapert, Scott McGill, Aaron Anderson, J.P. DeGantz. And again, if you're interested in doing a 3-minute report next time, please contact Amy on that. And then you will, in the follow-up CNP meeting, be able to do a 1-minute report. But now we break into 3-minute reports. Go ahead, Jason.
At NACL, we believe America was built on a foundation of faith. Today, our nation is on the brink. Leaders have capitulated on our convictions for far too long. Fighting for our faith isn't easy, but now is the time to stand for our Christian heritage and faith. In May, Georgia became the 4th state this year to enact heartbeat legislation to provide legal protection for unborn children after a fetal heartbeat is detected. The fight goes on, and the extreme left continues to fight back. From New York, where abortion was legalized through birth, to Pennsylvania, where an elderly woman protesting outside a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic was verbally harassed by an elected official, to Massachusetts, where at least 14 liberal lawmakers introduced legislation to remove God from the oath of office. We cannot fight for our faith alone. God-fearing leaders have an obligation to act. NACL is more than an association. We are a calling. organizing fellow Christian lawmakers to steer our nation back towards God. We offer training and support for lawmakers and prospective lawmakers to prepare them to endure, fight back, and stand for our Christian heritage and faith. We need your help. Join the fight for our faith and freedom today. Become a member at www.christianlawmakers.com. Together in faith, we fight. United in Him, we stand. Join us today.
I want to thank you for having me here today, and I will tell you what Tony Perkins said to me in November when he had me to come on Washington Watch with him. He said, "This is an organization whose time has absolutely come." I serve in the Arkansas State Senate in Arkansas, obviously, and I found out quickly that people will give you a card and say they're pro-family, they're pro-life, they're going to stand up for religious liberty, but when it comes to take that stand, sometimes they're nowhere to be found. It's time for us to train leaders that will actually take those stands. We want to train men and women to be Christian leaders that will stand up through the fire and not back down. You have a little bit of this information on your tables, and also you can get them afterwards. And I will just say as I end, we know the fight. And the fight is they're trying to push God out of public life everywhere, taking "so help me God" out of our oaths of office, etc. Think about this, those of you that know NCSL and ALEC, this is basically our concept, but all from a biblical worldview, and I hope that you will help us. And here is a clip from the people that are attacking people like me for standing up for God and country.
It's a great day to be a Satanist. I believe it, and I'm very excited about it.
Satanic Temple was an idea between a handful of people directly confronting authority.
State officials have put up a 10 Commandments monument. Satanists are demanding equal rights.
It is out of not only Satanism, but...
Thank you. Help us.
Thank you. And Scott McGill.
We are losing our Constitution. We are losing our nation. On every level of our culture, through every county in our country, the truth is surrounded by lies and treachery and cannot get out. Today, all of the blessings we inherited, our Constitution, our individual liberty, our culture, our nation itself, are being threatened with extinction as the rule of law is thrown aside for the rule of emotionalism. If our constitutional republic is to survive, we must be willing to confront our opponents and utterly defeat them in the arena of ideas. Failure to do so will forever disgrace us as a generation that betrayed its children and lost our nation, condemning the future of humanity to the sordid abyss of socialism. For this reason, our Champions of Liberty program has been instituted to electrify the vast underused network of veterans and provide them with the tools in a one-week special operations program training to equip them to engage effectively on the battlefield of ideas and lead our country back in the direction of constitutional fidelity. The academic portion will teach the Constitution and hot-button topics by the likes of Everett Piper, Chris Kobach, Colby May, Senator Josh Hawley, Bob McEwen, and the hands-on will be under the tutelage of Morton Blackwell at LI. After that, our veterans will be assigned to their congressional district to form a 10 or 20 member veteran battalion, a force multiplier, and they will begin to give at least 200 hours a year in the combat zone. We will wield the torch of truth on the invisible battlefield of ideas, and we will win, accomplishing the greatest rescue mission in history, saving America. As John Ashcroft said of this program recently, it is a strong strategy for national survival. Over 2 million America's sons and daughters, our brothers and sisters, sacrifice their lives and fortunes honoring their oath. I pledge to you right here that we will not relinquish our sacred honor and allow their sacrifice to have been made in vain. I would ask you for your support in prayer, a hedge of protection around your veterans as we storm today's walls of Nineveh. Thank you very much. Take a look at your program or prospectus on the table. There's one small change that we've had to make in scheduling. We'll talk about it. Come and talk to any of us. God bless you all.
Thank you. And Aaron Anderson, come on up.
Good morning. Report from the border. Currently, we are seeing a massive surge of illegal aliens at the border. Many say we are being invaded. I say we were invaded a long time ago. Currently, we're being colonized. In my previous memo reports, I have stressed the power of the cartels, transnational criminal organizations, and the corruption factor. Chapo Guzman, Sinaloa cartel's empire continues to expand. It goes as far as Australia, North and South America, Europe and Africa. Chapo is in jail. The Sinaloa is thriving. It has billions. Money laundering is the weakest link, and when you have billions, you buy everything. You buy ranches, farms, trucking companies, rental car companies, warehouses, hotels, car dealerships, construction, and marijuana shops. And you invest in politics. You buy politicians. In Mexico, we are used to the mordita, the bribe, the bite. To presume that that level of corruption has not crossed over to the American side of the border is naive. That corruption has infected our institutions. Example, the governor of New Mexico pulls her National Guard away from the border at the height of the surge. That speaks glaringly of something other than concern for migrants. I encourage you, please. I want to introduce Gavin Newsom. He is a guest here from New Mexico.
Newsom's the California.
Oh my God. Oh, sorry. Clarkson, yes. Yes, I'm so sorry. Gavin Clarkson, oh, you're using up my time. Okay, he's running for senator. I apologize profusely. Talk to this guy. Okay. All right, surprisingly, my area of the border is not receiving this surge, despite that I'm in a major Sinaloa corridor. Okay. The tunnels that were built under my land, the longest, high-tech, high-value, were not discovered by Border Patrol. Actually, it was the local law enforcement, Cochise County, Arizona. Now, I still have tunnels, and these tunnels were built under Border Patrol feet within sight of the Border Patrol station. My grandfather was the sheriff of Cochise County, and even in his day, he was chasing down smugglers from Mexico. Cochise County is successfully implementing a program called SABRE with a 90% conviction rate of the cartels. Lastly, in an earlier era, my grandfather bivouacked over 10,000 U.S. soldiers on the U.S.-Mexican border for over 7 years to defend our border against Mexico. He set the precedent to put military on the border 100 years ago this month in 1919. Thank you very much. And my card.
Thank you. Very effective technique. We'll never forget Mr. Clarkson's name now. As Mr. DeGance comes forward, let me call the next list. Vivian DeBose, Lynn Mazel, Kristen Hawkins, and Craig Bergman. Please come to the stage.
Well, thank you. My name is J.P. DeGance, and I'm the founder and president of Communio. Communio is an organization, if I pull my slides up here, Communio is an organization that serves churches to strengthen marriages and families at a citywide scale. We've been running an experiment in Jacksonville, Florida for the last 3 years. It was the 6th worst city in America for marriage. The divorce rate there, through a combination of using predictive analytics and ministry best practices around relationships, drove down the divorce rate at a countywide level of 28% in the first 2 years. It stayed near that historic low in the third year, and we had 3 independent academic analyses that said, yeah, that you guys are the only good explanation for that drop. So it's also helped churches grow. The average, we dug deep with about 33 congregations to measure efficacy, and those churches grew by an average of 23% and sustained average Sunday attendance, as well as an increase in average giving to that congregation. So a big thing that I want to impart on everybody here is we're concerned about the decline in faith in this country. Religious non-affiliation has never been higher in this country, but really the chicken that comes before that egg is the family. These are rates of religious non-affiliation of the last 3 generations. Each is more secular than the last. All 3 generations practice Christianity at the same levels, meaning they go to church at almost the exact same rate. 24-year-old millennial as a 67-year-old grandfather, if both mom and dad remain constantly married. And so a millennial with constantly married parents is nearly twice as likely to go to church every week than a millennial without constantly married parents. So in a lot of ways, our message is that marital health drives church health, it drives community health, and it drives national health. We commissioned a study with the Barna Group and saw that just 28% of churches have a substantive ongoing marriage ministry. 80% of evangelical churches and 82% of Catholic parishes reported spending 0% of their ministry resources on marriage and relationship ministry. So this is good news from my perspective. There's a big gap and a huge opportunity to strengthen the family. We think churches are the lever point. We've developed a model that we call a data-informed full circle relationship ministry in serving churches with predictive analytics and ministry best practices. And we have 2 basic ways of going forward and helping in a community, individually at a unit level of an individual church, as well as working at scale in a city. It looks like we're going to be coming to Denver, Fort Worth, and Austin. We're beginning to work with funders in those cities. So if you're interested in learning more, just come see me.
Thank you. Vivian DeVos.
Hi. LBN Foundation grantee Leading the Way has just released a must-read book by Dr. Michael Youssef. Don't miss the books and CDs made available on the tables. You see, political Islamists are fighting a subtle war for the very hearts and minds of our nation, and many of our leaders are handing over control for the sake of political correctness and tolerance. This war is called the Third Jihad. The first 2 jihads were fought with swords. The third jihad is a war of ideas as Islamic ideals infiltrate our schools and government. It's a slow and steady war to win the hearts and minds of the Western world. Born in the Middle East and a trained social anthropologist, Dr. Michael Youssef has met with leaders around the globe, including many in the Muslim world. In his new book, The Third Jihad, Dr. Youssef speaks with firsthand authority about the goals and methods of today's radical Islamists and exposes Third Jihad's threat to our freedom. And now a video. The Third Jihad.
Close your eyes and imagine the future, your children's future, 30 years from now. Do you picture freedom, prosperity, and happiness? Or do you imagine Sharia law, demolished churches, and the Islamic call to prayer echoing down every street? While our nation is busy arguing about the latest news report or political tweet, the real battle is quietly happening under your nose. America and the Western world is distracted and unaware that the third wave of jihad has already begun. A strategic, purposeful plan is being implemented to dominate anyone who does not embrace Islamist truth. Not only is this a war of terror and violence, but stealth, intimidation, and an agenda that is unlike any we've seen before. The goal is to gain control and force America and the Western world to become a unified Islamic state. With stunning clarity and brand new insight, Middle Eastern expert Dr. Michael Youssef brings you the real modern-day threat of radical Islam in his brand new book, The Third Jihad. The first and second jihads were fought overseas with swords and siege towers. But the third jihad is being fought in cyberspace through public relations, the internet, and political correctness. It's a war of stealth and deception, built not only on growing political power, but infiltration into all levels of society. Read Dr. Youssef's new book and go beyond the misleading headlines. Understand what is really happening in our nation. Discover the key to protecting our country's future, your children's future, from a radical takeover. It's all contained in Dr. Youssef's new book, The Third Jihad.
Thank you. Get your book.
Thank you. Glenn Menzel is going to come forward and tell us about the great things he's doing at Arizona University.
Well, thank you. Arizona Christian University, a few years ago, a small Bible college on the verge of closure, now one of the 5 fastest growing Christian colleges in America, as featured in the latest version of the Council of Christian Colleges and Universities publications, nationally ranked for excellence. 5 years ago, we started a political science pre-law program. This fall, one of our first graduates of that program will be at Harvard Law School. All faculty and staff committed to biblical truth, to teaching and modeling it, to our core commitments, including the sanctity of life, marriage between a man and a woman, limited government, and economic freedom. We teach a class with Newt Gingrich on American exceptionalism, and 40% of our students are ethnic minorities, many their first-generation college students, learning biblical conservative truth. And we just experienced a miracle of God. We've been out of space on a 20-acre campus in Phoenix. We just swapped it with the largest public university in our country, Arizona State University, for the former home of the Thunderbird School of Global Management. 68 acres, 3.5 times the building space. We announced this last November in Chapel after 11 months of secret negotiations. We brought buses to take our students to the new campus so they could see this campus. It has a hotel and conference center. And I want you to watch their reaction in this video to hearing this news and then seeing the library, the dining hall, the dorms of this new campus. So here we are in 2018 with close to 800 students. We are winning national recognition for excellence. We are growing, and we have done these things without sacrificing our Christian identity, mission, and purpose. There simply is no more room to grow. And then God shows up. He provides a miracle. Thank you. So if you're in Phoenix, I want to invite you to come and to see this miracle and to recognize that tens of millions of dollars were given over decades to build this beautiful campus, these buildings of a secular business college, and all along, God meant them for us, for the body of Christ, to build future generations of conservative Christian leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. As Kristen Hawkins comes to the podium, let me note that so many of us in this room came to the movement through the pro-life movement. Kristen is a great leader of one of our groups here on that. Go ahead, Kristen.
Thank you, Tim. If we can put up the first slide. 13 years ago, there was a problem in the pro-life movement. Young people were polling consistently pro-choice. Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion vendor, was running unopposed in our nation's high school and college campuses. And our messaging, our branding of the movement was even turning people away, young people away from joining us, the greatest human rights cause in our world today. 13 years ago, we launched Students for Life, and our mission was simple: to go right where the abortion industry targets. As we know, 79% of Planned Parenthoods are located 5 miles from a college campus. We know college and high school is a time when minds are changed, where minds are shaped, where culture is formed. We realize that we could pass all the laws we want today, we could secure all the victories we want today, but if we fail to win this generation, everything we've worked for will be lost. Everything will be lost. The good news is, through the Holy Spirit, it's working. Our mission is working. We're changing minds about abortion at a shocking rate. This spring semester, and over 15,000 one-on-one personal conversations we had on college campuses, within 4 minutes, we changed 50% of pro-Planned Parenthood students to be anti-Planned Parenthood students. 50%. We're building a generation that's going to stand for life. We have more than 1,250 groups in all 50 states. We've trained more than 75,000 young people. More than 75,000 young people. We're defending the rights of pregnant and parenting students to understand that they don't have to choose between the life of their child and their education. We had a huge victory just this year at Liberty University when we were able to reverse a policy that previously kicked pregnant women out of the dorm rooms, leading her to the doors of the Planned Parenthood. Now she's able to remain in the dorm rooms pregnant. We're able to secure meaningful victories. We were involved in more than 25 pieces of state legislation, lobbying and testifying. In many states, it was pro-life students were the only ones there who are willing to testify to their state legislatures, who are willing to stand up for truth. Look, the momentum is on our side. We've seen it in Alabama, we've seen it in Georgia, we've seen it in Ohio. I believe with all my heart that Roe v. Wade is finished in this lifetime. It's going to go. But the bad news is, they know it too, and they become unhinged. If you can see the second slide, they become unhinged. The number of vandalizations, of threats of violence, our First Amendment suppression has dramatically increased since President Trump became president. They have become unhinged. We can win this. We're not going to stop. I am proud to say that we are the post-Roe generation. Thank you.
Thank you. As Craig Bergman comes forward, let me call Rob Smith, Adam Andrzejewski, Peggy Hartshorn, and Colby May.
Thank you very much. Please video. It's quite a mess we've gotten ourselves into. America has never been more divided. Rich, poor, young, old, black, white, red, and blue. It's no wonder people don't trust their government or the voting process. The problems we face in our antiquated 17th century voting system have been with us since the beginnings of democracy. How can you be sure your vote was counted? The hard answer we have to face is you can never be sure. You never have been sure. Until now. The blockchain is a revolutionary new technology that can be summed up in one word: trust. Because it is both a secure and encrypted data set, and the values are written to a public ledger, not a private or proprietary one, you can be absolutely certain the value you input remains forever unchanged. You can verify your vote is exactly as you cast it, and it is counted. This has never before occurred in human history. Trust has always been, since the Garden of Eden, an unverified matter of faith. Now, with the unique attributes of the blockchain, mankind, for the first time, can have absolute mutual trust. Trust in the blockchain isn't the end of the matter, because you also need trust in the code and the systems. Our voting platform is open sourced and will be peer reviewable. No backdoors, hidden code, or proprietary secrets. The public ledger of the blockchain itself then adds an additional layer of transparency. We all know that our vote itself must be secret. No one must be able to know how we voted or be able to use such information against us. Our solution is an asymmetrical, multi-keyed, enveloped data hash algorithm. That means simply that different passwords are used to reveal different portions of the data. One password reveals only the value of the vote itself, not who cast the vote. Another private key, that would belong to the government, reveals only that a certain registered and authorized voter did, in fact, vote. And lastly, an additional private key, your key, reveals both sets of data together and allows you to know with total certainty that your vote was counted exactly as you intended. If this sounds like the kind of integrity you'd like to see in our voting system, you too can join with us in making this future a reality. We are a publicly traded company, and you can invest in the success of the voting system of tomorrow.
We'll have a beta test out in about 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Smith.
Good morning. My journey into investing in Africa with Earthwise Ferries began after the orphans that we raised were raised in communities that needed jobs and needed economic life. And so as a boat builder in Seattle, we began to build ferries for Lake Victoria. And you'll see one of them there and another one in a minute. And we're currently building one of the world's fastest high-speed ferries. We'll be breaking Richard Branson's record across the Atlantic with it. But we have a tremendous opportunity that has just come about, and that is to bring a ferry system to the city of Lagos. And you see the map there with the city of Lagos. And if you look very closely, you'll see that the city that has 25 million people in it, predicted to be the largest city by the end of the century with 50 million people, comprises of the central business district of 2 islands. You see the one island there, and then there's the other island with the red dot in it. And so that's the entire city, 25 million people. But most of those people work in the central business district like Manhattan in New York. And we'll have a slide that will come up in a little bit where you'll see that there's only 3 bridges onto that main island, and then only 1 bridge into the lower island. Can you imagine New York City with only 3 bridges, no trains, no ferries? And we've been approached, there's the 2 islands, we've been approached, and you see the bridges there, by the governor of the state of Lagos and the Affordable Housing Institute based in Boston to put a ferry system in Lagos Bay and around Lagos, and we'll be putting about 60 ferries in there. It'll be a tremendous opportunity to have an influence by not only American investors, but American investors who love Christ. And so we're very, very excited about it. And if you have any interest in this at all, I want you to come and talk to me. But I want to tell you why you should have an interest. I want to talk a little bit about the parable of the talents. You know, when I ask audiences about the Luke version of the parable of the talents and what the reward was, everyone says, well, they got more, or they got more coins. But the reality is that they were given rulership of cities. And I believe that as we invest in places like Africa and we succeed, we ultimately become influential in those cities. And Lagos is in Nigeria. We've heard all day yesterday about religious persecution, particularly in Nigeria. And those of you that work in Africa like I do know that throughout Africa, the Muslims are winning the communities because they are the businessmen, while we put hundreds of millions of dollars into both evangelism and giveaway and free stuff. And if we could turn that money into investment, I think the reward is a biblical reward, and that reward is that we begin to influence those areas, not only for conservatism and for Christ, but also for our good country. And so I encourage you to become an investor and reward the fruit of the parable of the talents. Thank you.
CNP is a diverse group. Adam, come on up.
It is great to be with you here today. My name is Adam Andrzejewski, and I founded OpenTheBooks.com. Here's our battle cry. Post every dime online in real time, open the books. And to that end, we've built a Freedom of Information Act machine. And last year, we filed 60,000 Freedom of Information Act requests to capture 85% of what's taxed and spent at every level, federal, state, and local across the entire country. It's the world's largest private database of public sector expenditures, and here's what it's comprised of. Nearly all federal spending since the year year 2000, 49 out of 50 state checkbooks. Yes, we are going to sue California to open the books in the state of California. 60,000 substantial public bodies across the entire country. We've captured nearly every single public employee's salary and pension record at every level of government, 22 million public employees' salaries. So you can come to our website and you can see in your neighborhood who makes what, how much money. That record has never been captured before in the history of the country. There's a lot of waste in the public sector, unpaid, pensions, and perquisites. There is waste everywhere. Even in the political power base of progressives in San Francisco. At openthebooks.com, you may have seen recently we mapped every single instance of human waste in the public way. Incredibly, since 2011, there's been 120,000 case reports to San Francisco 311 of waste on human waste on city streets, and another 30,000 cases of hypodermic needles on city streets. This is home base to Gavin Newsom, the governor, Kamala Harris, the U.S. senator and presidential hopeful, the most powerful politicians in San Francisco that are lecturing us on income equality. Maybe they should start at home and clean up their city streets. And speaking of waste, federal level waste. We've asked President Donald Trump, endorsed by many people in this room and 105,000 people who have signed our petition at openthebooks.com, we've asked the president to declare war on waste as commander-in-chief. Go after waste, fraud, corruption, and taxpayer abuse with a three-pronged strategy. 1, open the books on federal spending in real time. 2, cut 5% of the spending. And 3, report to the American people. And it's a target-rich environment. Cornell received $1 million on a study where it hurts the most to be stung by a bee. NASA gave $1 million to prepare the nation's religion for the discovery of extraterrestrial life. HHS gave California prostitutes sex education. They could probably teach the class. Let's encourage the president to wage war on waste, to defend our tax dollar, and deliver transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy, come on forward.
Hi, I'm Peggy Hartshorn. My husband Mike and I are new members of CNP. Our passion since 1973 is protecting our right to life. I'm now chairman of the board of Heartbeat International. How many of you have seen the movie Unplanned? Great. Well, then you know what this is. After a woman takes the first abortion pill, she's given a second dose of pills to take home and complete the abortion, often alone in suffering in her own bathroom, as shown tragically and graphically in the movie. Now, Heartbeat International is intervening after the first pill, so she has one last choice, as this video will explain.
Hello from Heartbeat International, and congratulations to our nurses out there on National Nurse Appreciation Week.
That's the wrong video,
We're here to
unfortunately.
celebrate you, and that's the team.
Do we have another? Well, Nurse Appreciation Week is important, and that is something that is part of my wrap-up, but let me tell you what is in the video. Heartbeat International was founded in 1971, and our goal is to reach and rescue as many women as possible around the world before they have an abortion and offer them the help and support they need to make a healthy choice. Well, because of the abortion pill technology now, it's RU486, you've probably heard of it. You take one pill which cuts off the progesterone in the woman's body, which is, of course, which is feeding the embryo and the lining of the uterus, keeping the baby healthy. That first pill is an anti-progesterone. Cuts off the progesterone, basically starting to kill the baby. The woman takes home with her 3 or 4 pills, which 24 to 48 hours later she takes to cause contractions, to begin, and she aborts that baby at home. Now, what the abortion pill rescue protocol is simply massive doses of progesterone, which is the drug given to women to help them so that they won't miscarry. It's a phenomenal process. There are now a network of doctors, nurses, and pregnancy centers around the country that if we can reach the woman and provide the progesterone dosage, she can have a second choice and save her baby. Perfectly healthy protocol, although of course we're coming under tremendous attack from the medical community saying it's junk science. So the Abortion Pill Rescue Network of doctors and nurses who can provide this protocol became part of Heartbeat International just 1 year ago. And right now we're providing that protocol to about 200 women a month, I should say, who have taken the first pill, but not the second. Now, the problem is there are 33,000 chemical abortions being done in our country every month, 33,000. So we need help in a massive ramp up of the abortion pill rescue. We need prayer covering, many more doctors and nurses to join us. We have a challenge grant. We need partners in informed consent to make sure every woman knows before she takes the pill that there is a reversal. If you can partner with us, please let me know. I'd love to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As Nina May comes forward, let me call the next group here. Brad Mattis, Donna Rice Hughes, Scott Cooper, and Kelly Shackelford.
Hi, I'm Nina May with Renaissance Women Productions. You guys are amazing. You're in the trenches every day. You're fighting evil to save our liberties. You deserve a laugh. So today at 3 o'clock, we're going to be screening our new romantic comedy called First Lady. There's a poster over there. It's a lot of fun. What we're going to do, I'm going to be showing you an ad that we're doing for First Lady that runs in our TV series, which is called Daily Brit. It's on DirecTV, channel 379, post-apocalyptic dramatic series. And after that is going to be the trailer. But it just, you're just seeing a little bit of what we're doing with Renaissance Women Productions, Renaissance Women Foundation. So.
Hi everyone, you're on the set of First Lady. It's been a ton of fun, but I have to let you in on a little bitty secret. Okay, they're going to tell you it's all about Nancy Stafford, right? Catherine Morales. Oh, she's the queen, she's the first lady. But really it's not. It's about me. And you'll see bits of me scattered throughout the entire film. A polka dot here, a boa there, taffeta all around. It's all about Mallory, it really is.
You know what that is? That's a 1-star review right there.
In all seriousness, this is a fantastic romantic comedy. I think you're really, really going to love it. Everyone has just been such a joy to work with. Tons and tons of talent. Lots of funny moments, lots of tender moments. Of course, it's all done by Renaissance Women Productions, so power to the woman. But yeah, I can't wait for you to see it, and hopefully you'll get to see little clips here and there, and I'm really not as bad as they portray me to be, I promise. Or maybe I am. Harold!
A woman I once knew. She's quite the character. What hasn't been done, she will do. What has been done, she will do better.
What kind of president doesn't have a first lady? Splendid American.
She's an ex-first lady. That's all. She doesn't get a do-over just because her husband died.
Thank you, Mallory Carrington. You just saved our jobs.
It is so stupid to think that you can run for First Lady.
Looks like you have a second chance. You should take it.
She would have been a disaster.
I'm sitting right here.
Well, it's the entitlement generation.
No, she is a princess. Oh, I am so sorry. You look lost. May I help you?
Are you sure she's the right one? She didn't recognize your grandfather.
She is regal.
She thinks she's a queen.
Total access.
Kate! Kate! Not him!
Okay, you say he's only a bodyguard, then why is the State Department here?
Okay. I think it is safe to say that none of us saw that coming.
In here at 3 o'clock today, guys.
Thank you. Brad Mattis.
Good morning. I'm Brad Mattis, president of Life Issues Institute. Chemical abortion accounts for half now of all abortions done in America. And as Peggy mentioned, The depiction of the chemical abortion in the movie Unplanned was consistent with what many, many women have told us about the process. So we've just produced a new brief video called A Closer Look at the Chemical Abortion Pill. In that program, we have an OBGYN expert in the field of chemical abortion who explains the protocol of the drugs. She explains the risks and tells about the research showing it's 4 times more riskier than surgical abortion. I interview 2 women who have experienced abortion and have horrific stories to tell. They were told it was going to be safe, natural, and almost painless. It was none of those. In the end, we have an encouraging message for women, by women, that they can have these babies, they can choose life and be happy. Very importantly, we link to resources at the end of the video, primarily the Abortion Pill Rescue resource, where we can get information to women should they change their mind and have another idea about what they'd like to do with their lives. Heartbeat International is taking our abbreviated 15-minute version into their counseling centers all across the nation. Other organizations who have expressed a desire to use the film are NIFLA, Silent No More, Rachel's Vineyard, and CareNet. This is a vital, vital tool to warn women about the dangers of chemical abortion and what it'll do to them. The film has been translated into Dutch. As we speak, we're working on a Spanish version. So if you'd like to watch this video, it's at lifeissues.org. It's at the top of the page. Click on it, and you can view both the expanded and abbreviated versions. We want to share this video with everybody who's interested in using it. We give free access to anyone and everyone because education is key. Education saves lives and is the foundation on which we build political and legislative victories. So please take a look at lifeissues.org and utilize this wonderful tool that we've developed. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. For Enough is Enough, Donna Rice Hughes.
Good morning, everybody. Protecting children online is a bipartisan unifying issue. However, the sexual exploitation of children is at an all-time high. We all stand for the sanctity of life. So let's fight like we fight for the preborn, for the born, to protect them and their innocence and their dignity and their safety. You're all invited today. We're going to have a cocktail reception with food at from 5 to 6 in the Old Dominion Room. And we're going to give you a lot of updates and teach you what you can do to protect your children and your grandchildren. But briefly, as you know, we've had a 5-year battle with Starbucks to filter child pornography and pornography on their public Wi-Fi in their 4,500 company-owned stores. They broke their promise. We kicked up a new campaign last November. We partnered with the media. The media can sometimes help us. And they agreed within 24 hours, the Business Insider calling them after our campaign, that they would start filtering in 2019. And so now they are filtering in all Starbucks stores in the United States of America, child pornography and pornography. We're also working with universities. There's been a big campaign by the students of Notre Dame to get that university to filter, and they have said no. However, that started a whole effort for schools, colleges, and universities to filter. Now Catholic University has said they're going to filter, and we're working with Ohio Christian University to be the gold standard and set up a whole platform to help both other schools and universities learn how to protect their children or their students on campus on their Wi-Fi. Next, as you know, we did the Children's Internet Safety Presidential Pledge, and we are rolling out a governor's pledge and a state AG's pledge, and we're going to launch that this summer with the governor of South Carolina this June, my home state. Go South Carolina. And today we're also going to be talking about the supply and demand of sex trafficking, what's happening at our border, the link between pornography, child pornography, and trafficking, the supply and demand. So I'm going to end with this, and all you ladies pay attention. This is a little enticement to get you to our reception. We're going to have 2 free auction items. One is Kendra Scott jewelry. I'm wearing some. And also a free jewelry appraisal. We hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. High Frontier is an icon, and Mr. Cooper will come and speak to us about that.
Well, good morning. My name is Scott Cooper, and this morning I'm going to represent High Frontier. My goal this morning is to update you on an effort to secure our electric grid in South Carolina, specifically a project known as the Lake Wiley Project. Many of you are probably aware on March 26th of this year, President Trump issued an executive order on coordinating national resilience on electromagnetic threats. The week prior to that executive order being issued, High Frontier had the privilege of touring 2 National Security Council members, Dr. Julie Bentz and Dr. Brooks Bentley, through the Lake Wiley Project in York County, South Carolina. In a nutshell, the Lake Wiley Project consists of coordinating with all local members of the Rock Hill and the York County leadership to include water and sewage, the hospital, EMS, the sheriff's office, the mayor, and the county administrator, combined with officials from Duke Energy, who operate 3 major power plants on Lake Wiley. One of those plants is a hydroelectric energy power plant, one is a coal-fired power plant, and one is a nuclear-powered power plant. I got mixed up there. Anyways, the goal in this region is to create what's called an electric island, by which the grid could be rebuilt from that island that exists. And it's taken almost 5 years to get to the point where we now have a realistic cost study of what it's going to cost per citizen to protect this county in South Carolina. And the goal is to utilize this information acquired during these efforts to expand it nationwide. And I'm really excited about the progress that's been made towards that effort. At the close of the weekend, I plan to email each member of CNP a 2-page handout explaining in more detail this effort, and it'll also link 2 editorials that my father, Hank Cooper, wrote, one about the Lake Wiley Project, and one his comments on the executive order that was issued on March 26th. In closing, I also want to mention, many of you know I've been working in regenerative agriculture and sustainable agriculture. I chose to get into this industry primarily out of healthcare reasons. Our republic has the least expensive food in the world and the most expensive healthcare, both of which are subsidized by the federal government and both of which actually are broken. And I don't believe this is only a healthcare issue. I believe it's a national security issue. And it's important when it comes to building resilient societies, which is part of what High Frontier's mission is about. So my hope is to incorporate that effort into High Frontier's mission in the future. In closing, if you have any technical questions about the Lake Wiley project, I would encourage you to meet with my father, who's a guest with me today or this weekend, and he can fill you in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Scott. If I had the authority to do so, I would give Kelly Shackelford 2 3-minute sessions. I don't have that authority, but as he comes up, let me call the next 4, Jeff Myers, Joel Chernoff, Ray Moore, and Richard Norman. So talk fast.
I'm going to go fast as I can. First Liberty Institute is the largest legal organization in the country that all we do is religious freedom. And as a guy who's been fighting for religious freedom for 30 years, I'm telling you, there are things about to happen that I never thought were possible in my lifetime. I really think we're about to see history change in our country on religious freedom in a very good way. What do I mean? There are 2 religion clauses. There's the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause. Both have bad cases that have caused real damage to religious freedom. Let me start with the first one. We have a case that we just argued at the Supreme Court in February it's about the Bladensburg Cross. I don't know if they have a picture. Yeah, you can see the cross in the corner. That was put up almost 100 years ago by mothers who lost their sons in World War I. And now there is a lawsuit by the American Humanist Association to tear it down because it's a cross. The Court of Appeals said, why don't we just cut the arms off the cross, and that way we won't have to destroy it and nobody will be offended. Hello? We just argued this case. the case in this area is called the Lemon case. This is the Establishment Clause. And the Lemon case is what came up with separation of church and state and all these other concepts that are not in the Constitution. The Constitution says we don't want to establish a national church, and we don't want people coerced with regard to their religion. Okay? So we didn't just go for a victory in this case, because we think they're not going to tear this down, because they'd have to go into Arlington and tear down the crosses in Arlington. So we said, you need to get rid of Lemon. It's been here for 50 years. It's causing all these attacks on veterans memorials, on crosses, on... So we had 5 votes in the oral argument. Pray, because there's all kinds of spiritual warfare being going on. The decision could be handed down Monday or as late as June 24th. There's all kinds of battles going on. Pray for that. Second is the free exercise clause. And the bad case in that is called the Smith decision. Well, many of you are aware of the Coach Kennedy case. You see Coach Kennedy praying. He was fired for going to a knee to say a prayer after the football game. We went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Ninth Circuit said coaches are not allowed to pray in public if anybody can see them. That's what they said. The Supreme Court didn't take the case, but they sent us a message, the 4 conservatives. They said, look, go back down. There's some facts we want established. The Ninth Circuit opinion was very troubling. But then out of nowhere, they said, by the way, we noticed that this was a free speech claim that reached us first. Maybe that's because the free exercise clause has been so damaged by the Smith decision. They said, but we haven't been asked to review that yet. Okay? So we might be about to blow a hole in both damaging decisions to the clauses. So there's a lot. I really think that everybody alive today is about to have more religious freedom. If we follow through and we win on a number of these cases in the next 5 years, they're going to have more religious freedom than they've ever had. So let me skip to the very last slide. If you're not getting our info, I want to make sure, just text the word liberty to 474747, and you'll start getting the information on what's happening on these cases. Thank you.
Have we got Jeff wired? We don't have you wired.
Who's that? Hey, Jeff Myers from Summit Ministries. We're the organization preparing millennials and Gen Z to understand and apply the Bible to every area of life, to refute false worldviews, to be pro-life, pro-marriage, in favor of economic freedom and defenders of the Constitution. Here's a 90-second video that takes you inside what one of our 12-day programs looks like.
Before I came to Summit, I was questioning who God was, where He was, what His role still was in my life.
I think it's so hard to find truth and to be able to sit down and sort out like biblical truth because the world is just so noisy.
Summit's a place where you go not only to see the bigger picture of what God's really doing in this world, but to get a sense of where you fit in that bigger picture. How can you live a bigger story than you ever imagined you would?
One of the most important things for you to do is know what you believe and why.
What does morality mean? Am I valuable? Is there an afterlife?
You get to ask tough questions here. And you get to ask those tough questions of really smart people who have good answers to those tough questions.
Coming to Summit shaped my worldview entirely. I know what I believe, but I had no clue what other people believed.
Talking about the deep things in life, I think can really pull people together.
Trust builds here because you have the same goal and interest in mind.
And being able to relate to like everyone else's story and tell them like you're not alone in this.
So apologetics is about being confident in the gospel, but also living the gospel.
This is preparing us for the world that we live in now.
2 weeks, amazing speakers, loving mentors, lifelong friendships. Change the trajectory of your life forever, starting summer 2019.
Summit Ministries does have seats available for this summer for our session in Colorado, the last 2 weeks of August. Also a session, an overflow session that we've started in Pennsylvania at Lancaster Bible College, and 2 sessions at Union University in Tennessee. So if you know young people who are 16 to 25 years of age, we go up to 25 now because 25 is the new 18, unfortunately. But if you know young adults in those areas, we would love to have them come and study with us for 2 weeks. We will prepare them with the truth, and we will send them back to you with an understanding of why we do everything that we do here, and then a commitment to be courageous and courageous truth speakers themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I apologize that this stage is not ADA approved. There are plenty of plaintiff lawyers out there. You can get that taken care of. Joel Chernoff.
Thank you. Shalom, everybody. My name is Joel Chernoff, and I'm the General Secretary and CEO of the Messianic Jewish Alliance of America. Founded in 1915, the MJA is the largest organization representing the Messianic Jewish community in the world. Today, I desire to introduce you to our humanitarian aid ministry in Israel, the Joseph Project. The Joseph Project was spawned by a powerful, instructive, prophetic word given in 1996. Despite many challenges, believe me, we began shipping aid containers to Israel in 2000. Since then, the Joseph Project has shipped and distributed over $100 million worth of aid from our facility in Jerusalem and is now the #1 importer of humanitarian aid in the state of Israel. To God be all of the glory. With over 2 million people and 30% of all children living below the poverty line, the Joseph Project is growing and touching the lives of up to 200,000 poor and needy in Israel annually. And this number is growing. Now let's watch this.
Israel is, and always has been, the land God chose as his resting place and the home for his people. God gave believers a specific call to bless the people of Israel. This call is so close to his heart that he promises to pour out his blessing in return.
Israel lives in a very difficult region. That creates a high cost in terms of security. Other items in the budget have to be cut, like social services. This points out the reason why private charity is such an important thing to Israel.
The Joseph Project blesses needy Israelis by providing for their basic needs. With the supplies stocked in our 22,000 square foot warehouse, we can distribute clothing, furniture, medical supplies, and other supplies across Israel.
We are the #1 importer of humanitarian aid in Israel, and we are honored to be so.
We've built an efficient, sustainable infrastructure that moves the supplies from the donors around the world to giant shipping containers that are loaded onto ships and taken to our warehouse in Israel.
We handle everything. We import it, we store it, we deliver it, and we deliver it to the people that we know need it the most, regardless of race, religion, or creed.
The trucks are loaded with supplies at our facilities and sent throughout the country to single-parent families, orphanages, hospitals, and more. And because we distribute charitable gifts, a single financial contribution can result in a tenfold increase of the actual value of the aid given.
This is a time to show love for the people of Israel and to stand.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, come forward.
My name is Ray Moore, and I'm chairman of the newly formed 20-member Christian Education Initiative. All right?
wrong. They have 85% or more of our children sitting for 5 days a week in a government school receiving massive doses of propaganda, indoctrination, brainwashing. And I mean, they've had 100 years of scientific, psychological experiments to perfect this. And so what we concluded is that over the long run, all these battles that we care about, and I don't care what your issue is, viewer, maybe you're all about gun rights, maybe you want to stop abortion, maybe you want to lower taxes, fight socialism, preserve our national sovereignty and our independence, protect our free speech, all of these issues that unite Americans, that really define Americans, we're going to lose on every single one if current trajectories continue. So what we do in this special report, we expose it all, the sexualization of the children, the indoctrination, the poor academics, the deliberate dumbing down of the children, and this can all be documented. I encourage people to get a copy of this. And then maybe even more importantly, we show parents what they can do about it. We have the ultimate trump card here, no pun intended, and that is our ability, our established right in all 50 states to opt out of this system.
You can pick your magazine up on the side table. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Norman is going to come forward for conventions of the state, and I have a feeling that's why Mark Meckler is hanging out on the sidelines here. I'm going to call the last two. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time for our wait list, so our last two after Richard will be Ellen Grigsby and Frank Gaffney.
Good morning. I'd like to introduce to you a very good friend of mine and my guest for the weekend, Mark Meckler.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm here representing the Convention of States Project. I'm the president of that project, co-founder with Michael Ferris. The project aims to call the first ever in the United States history Convention of States under Article 5 of the United States Constitution. On September 15, 1787, Colonel George Mason said this to the Constitutional Convention: "Are we so naive as to believe that a federal government that becomes a tyranny will propose amendments to restrain that tyranny?" The men in attendance unanimously said no. In fact, Madison's notes reflect only this nin-com. There was no debate about the issue. They knew tyranny would come, and they knew they needed to provide us a remedy. That remedy is Article 5 of the United States Constitution. Today, over 4 million patriots are involved in this movement nationally. There are volunteers in 100% of all state legislative districts nationally. We've developed a proprietary grassroots organizing program like nothing ever before seen. It's called Citizen Builder. It's the platform through which all these activists operate. We are bringing them onto the battlefield not only to pass the Convention of States resolution, as we've done already in 15 states, most recently Arkansas, Mississippi, and Utah, but for the battles that all of you are fighting in the future. There are people who could speak about this who are much smarter and much more eloquently than I can. I'd like to quote some of them. Dr. James Dobson says, "Thankfully, the draft of our Constitution built in safeguards to restore the size of government to its proper limits through amendments as outlined in Article 5 of the Constitution. A Convention of States doesn't allow a rewriting of the Constitution as some have suggested, but rather allows state legislatures to propose needed amendments." Mark Levin, who we'll hear from tonight, says, "I've wholeheartedly endorsed the Convention of States project, and I serve on its legal board of reference." Ben Shapiro says, "We have to hem in the power of Congress, and in many cases the power of the executive, before it's too late. Calling a Convention of States is the only way to get the job done." Lieutenant Colonel Allen West said, "Thank goodness the founders had the wisdom to provide us with Article 5 of the Constitution." Michael Ferris says, "Only a Convention of States will give us effective solutions to the abuse of power in Washington, D.C. It is our moral obligation." Governor Mike Huckabee says, "My longtime friend Mike Ferris, who is an excellent constitutional litigator and professor, has joined with Mark Meckler and Citizens for Self-Governance. I've reviewed their plan. It's both innovative and realistic." Morton Blackwell says, "I joined Mike Ferris and Mark Levin in support of a Convention of States under Article 5. Senator Jim DeMint, Tom Coburn, all these people are in support of the Convention of States. Who are our enemies? George Soros's Common Cause, Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, Daily Cause, Greenpeace, NAACP, Council of La Raza Action Fund, Sierra Club, People for the American Way, Planned Parenthood, large national unions like AFL-CIO. The most left-wing groups you can find in America have all united, signed a press release against us, over 250 of them. Howard Dean says the threat is the complete collapse of our democracy. We have to stop Convention of States. Hillary Clinton's come out against it. The question is, whose side are you on? The founders or Soros and his minions? Thank you. We ask for your support at conventionofstates.com.
Thank you, Mark, for all that you continue to do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Ellen Grigsby.
Good morning. I'm Ellen Grigsby with Open Doors USA,
And I want to say a big thank you to Point of View Radio and to Debbie Georgiados of America Can We Talk for interviewing Weibo, who is a Dutchman in charge of all of Open Doors work in the field, on the ground, in 67 countries like Nigeria and Saudi Arabia, and different places that I'm not really supposed to talk about. But Weibo is also the person who originated the World Watch List, the top 50 countries where persecution of Christians is severe. And you can learn more about that on our website, opendoorsusa.org, and learn about the methodology and how we get to the rankings. It's really interesting. I have World Watch List booklets, 2019 edition. You can see me, and then we'll see a video.
Are easy for you to say, but whether you can talk about persecution in various countries in this world, how extensive is it numbers-wise?
If we take a low estimate, it's between 240 and 280 million. If we take a high estimate, it could be close to 400 million.
Wait, the highest estimate, 400 million?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it is really serious. And I would like to make a link to scriptures, if you do not mind. But when Jesus was preparing to go back to the Father, he had a very interesting conversation with his disciples in Matthew 24. And they were asking, how will it look like when you come back? And it's amazing what Jesus is saying, because on the one hand, he's saying you will be hated by all nations, persecuted all over the world. His persecution will become global. At the same time, I will come back when all nations have been reached. And this is the other part of the coin. We are living in bad times and we are living in exciting times, because we are noticing that the Christian faith is spreading all over the world. Every single country on earth has an indigenous church now. This was not the situation 10 or 25 years ago. So God is building his church, but the devil is very upset about it, and he is acting against the church.
A lot more to understand about all the unbelievable volume of Christian persecution in this world, rarely reported around the world, and yet this organization is not only reporting, keeping track, informing the world, but actually providing substantive, specific, pragmatic help to Christians around the world facing persecution. Fabulous organization.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wrapping us up, keeping us on time, my friend Frank Gaffney.
Good morning. I'm here to talk to you about a problem that Ronald Reagan described. Sam Brownback talked about it yesterday. Our time's existential threat to freedom. This is, of course, the one that we knew not so long ago. Back in 1976, an organization called the Committee on the Present Danger was formed to try to help identify and raise awareness among the American people about that particular threat, then known as the Soviet Union. Soviet communism, of course, the ideology that operated in it, and to develop strategies for trying to counter it. This was one of its most distinguished members. In the campaign of 1980, he drew very heavily upon the work that the Committee on the Present Danger had done to help really contrast with Jimmy Carter's policy of détente, which was in fact a formula for propping up the Soviet Union rather than rolling it back, as President Reagan sought to do. These individuals were among 31 who very prominently served in the Reagan administration, which I had the privilege of doing as well, to implement the strategy that the Committee on the Present Danger developed. And the rest, as they say, is history. Today we have another and extraordinarily dangerous threat to freedom. Indeed, I would argue it makes the one of the Soviet era pale by comparison. We've put together a new Committee on the Present Danger, China, for the purpose of trying, we hope, to do something as consequential as the one of the 70s did, with President Reagan's strong support. We have in President Trump a man who certainly understands the nature of the Chinese threat. He's been writing about it, he's been warning about it, and now he is leading on it in a very coherent and effective way. we seek to support him in doing that. Let's be clear, the Chinese seek to supplant us as the dominant power in the world and enslave what is left of the free world. This has been their project for some time. They have been waging unrestricted warfare against us. We must understand and develop strategies for countering those various threats. Today at 1:30 in Salon 1, in this ballroom, we will be discussing this with an extraordinary panel of experts, including my good friend, Lieutenant General Stephen Quast, United States Air Force, who is here with us. We will be talking about the strategies. We will talk about what needs to be done. Afterwards, there will be an informal brainstorming session in the networking room, and you can go to presentdangerchina.org to get a wealth of information you need to know. Please join us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And thank you to all of you that kept us on time here. If you gave a 3-minute report, you'll automatically be signed up for a 1-minute report in October. If you're interested in doing a 3-minute report, then please talk to Amy Green, amy@cfnp.org. The beautiful chocolate capitals on your table are from Concerned Women for America in honor of their 40th anniversary gala. If you can believe, CWA has been with us for 40 years. Beverly LaHaye is going to step down as chairman of the board. That'll be her last event. I wish we had had a CWA person here to tell us about that, but I am sure they will catch you at the door or in the networking room. And I understand that you can take these capitals away. Please take them and enjoy them. I hope somebody will break one open in the back room back there. You have until 10:15 when the next session will start, promptly at 10:15. Thank you.